God's blessings to everyone. This is a DGHradio.com news and information news update for the British Virgin Islands, and I'm reporter EVH reporting the news for Saturday, October 11th, 2025, covering the latest developments from across the British Virgin Islands. Leading off with public safety tonight, police investigations continue after a violent armed robbery in Road Town earlier this week left a young man seriously injured. Two masked men entered a popular establishment near the Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park, robbed patrons, and shots were fired during the ordeal. The victim was rushed to Dr. D. Orlando Smith Hospital and is being prepared for advanced treatment overseas. The incident has shaken many residents and business owners, and while detectives follow leads and review surveillance footage, officers are again urging the public to share any information that might help identify the suspects. Community vigilance around bars, late-night venues, and parking areas remains strongly advised. In a related development, concern over youth-linked crime intensified after a 16-year-old suspect reportedly brandished a firearm during a police pursuit in Myers Estate this week, forcing an officer to take evasive action. No shots were fired and no injuries were reported, but the seriousness of the allegation has renewed calls for a combined approach that pairs visible policing with prevention, after-school programs, mentoring, and community support, so at-risk teens have better paths than petty crime. Investigators are analyzing CCTV, tracing movements, and continuing interviews as they work to bring the matter to a safe conclusion. Against that backdrop, the government says it is moving from talk to execution on crime reduction. A specialist consultancy has been retained to turn the recent anti-crime summit's recommendations into an actionable strategy. The brief includes developing targeted patrol patterns informed by data, improving camera coverage and maintenance, strengthening community partnerships, and setting measurable milestones so the public can track progress. The goal, officials say, is a safer Virgin Islands driven by coordinated work across policing, education, social services, and neighborhoods. Turning to the economy and infrastructure, the administration is actively engaging the United Kingdom on borrowing limit flexibility tied to the proposed runway extension at Terence B. Lettsome International Airport. Leaders argue that lengthening the runway to accommodate larger aircraft would expand direct connectivity, reduce reliance on multi-leg itineraries, and support higher-value tourism. Because the estimated cost could push against the territory's fiscal ratios, the government has asked London to confirm how the project would be treated under the protocols for effective financial management. Supporters see the expansion as a catalyst for jobs and growth. Skeptics want full transparency on costs, the business case, and environmental safeguards before any final commitments are made. In aviation governance, the BVI Airports Authority has been elevated to a governing member seat within Airports Council International for Latin America and the Caribbean. That role is expected to deepen technical cooperation on safety, customer experience, and sustainable operations, and to connect the territory's airport projects to peer expertise and training. Officials call it both recognition of recent improvements and a practical step that can help de-risk planning and execution as modernization efforts advance. Meanwhile, a long-stalled waterfront asset may finally move toward rebirth. The government says it intends to shortlist qualified investors for Prospect Reef and aims to break ground in 2026. The 32-acre site has sat idle through hurricanes and the pandemic despite multiple restart attempts. A transparent, competitive selection process paired with credible financing and climate-resilient design will be critical to converting promises into jobs, training opportunities, and a revived draw for visitors in the capital. Inside the House of Assembly, the perennial question of transparency in lawmaking is back in focus. Leaders indicate that opening the committee stage to the public would require amending the standing orders, a process that takes time. While next week's clause-by-clause session will remain closed under the current rules, members on both sides acknowledge there are pros and cons to public access. Reformers argue that seeing amendments crafted in real time can build trust. Cautionary voices note that some witnesses and technical advisors may be less candid if every discussion is live-streamed. Expect continued debate over whether limited pilots, redacted transcripts, or delayed video could balance transparency with effective lawmaking. On the cost of living front for seniors, the Premier has apologized to retirees who were excluded when recent salary adjustments were implemented for active public officers. The pledge now is to address pensions in the upcoming budget, with options like indexing to inflation under review. Retirees and advocates are watching for specifics, credible costing, timelines, and whether any uplift can be applied retroactively, so fixed incomes can better keep pace with rising prices for power, food, and transport. Workforce recognition also took center stage during Public Service Week. Hundreds of government employees were honored for long service across education, health, ports, safety, and administration. Leaders praised civil servants as the engine that keeps services moving, from Anagata to Jost Van Dyke, and credited their dedication through hurricanes, the pandemic, and demanding reform timelines. The message, sustained investment in people and institutions, is essential for reliable services and a resilient democracy. Education and youth well-being are in the spotlight. The Premier says overcrowding at Elmore Stout High School is hampering learning and discipline, and he wants to pursue smaller senior-level campuses in the eastern and western districts of Tortola. The idea: shorten commutes, reduce costs for families, and create environments where students are known by name and conflicts are easier to manage. Any expansion would need land, staffing plans, and alignment with multi-year capital budgeting, but momentum is building to ease pressure on the central campus. Complementing that, the Eslin Henley Ritchie's Learning Center, rebuilt after storm destruction 8 years ago, will be formally opened, offering modern, purpose-built spaces for students with diverse learning needs. Features include sensory rooms, therapy areas, outdoor teaching zones, and a multi-purpose hall. Educators and families say the upgraded facility represents a long overdue commitment to inclusion, giving more children the tailored support they need to thrive academically and socially. Public conversation about representation continues as well. Civic voices are calling for more women to contest winnable seats in the House of Assembly and to serve in senior decision-making roles. Advocates point to the benefits of diverse perspectives for scrutiny, social policy, and legitimacy. Practical steps often suggested include candidate mentoring, transparent party selection processes, and nonpartisan campaign training that equips first-time contenders to navigate fundraising, messaging, and compliance while reducing online harassment that can discourage participation. Finally, on youth mental health, the Health and Social Development Ministry is urging families, schools, faith groups, and employers to be more intentional about emotional support. Leaders note that today's teens face overlapping pressures, from economic uncertainty and loss to online influences and climate-related disruptions. They encourage attentive listening, provide early help when behavior changes, and create safe spaces for sharing feelings so young people do not feel isolated. Building resilience now, they say, pays off in better school outcomes, stronger relationships, and a healthier, more productive society down the line. These and other issues are of great concern within the islands. What do you think are some good solutions? Let us know your thoughts by texting your comments to 1-315-898-1449. You can also join our WhatsApp group and get the news, weather, and other insightful information delivered right to your smartphone. To join, text JOIN to 1-315-898-1449. Please include your name in the text message. You will receive a call to verify your request. I'm your reporter, EVH, signing off for DGHradio.com. Remember, EVH and DGH. Together we explain, verify, and highlight as we deliver global headlines, because on DGHradio.com, the news never sleeps. Ciao.